Chapter 1. I'm going ahead first. Don't miss me too much. To the destined person who was lucky enough to find my letter. 752,648,000 heartbeats. That is the number of times my heart pulsed inside my body before I gave it away. I, who had lived a painful yet happy life, had many regrets, and among those regrets was to die a virgin. Ham! Don't look at me with those eyes filled with ridicule and contempt, for I am sure that you, yes you, the one reading this right now, is the same. Both of us are virgins. What? You're not a virgin? In that case then, fecky you, how dare you read this? Don't you know the feelings of us pitiful, good-looking, and drop-dead gorgeous boys, like me, who have never even had the chance to date a girl? Do you not know our pain, our suffering, our endless days stuck inside the bathroom doing one-hand calisthenics? TSK, you uncultured swine. What happened to the saying, bros before hoes? Shame on you, bro. Shame on you. You scum, who don't understand the importance of brotherhood. I hope your PP won't ever raise its head ever again. Let's see if you stay popular then. Where was I? Oh yeah, I died as a virgin. However, before I died, I got my first and last kiss from a beautiful lady who was known as the #1 beauty in the whole academy. Man, her lips were so soft that I felt like I was in cloud 9. If only the boys in the school could see that moment, I bet that they would have bitten their handkerchiefs in envy. I'm sure that all of her admirers would have joined hands in order to kill me. Joke's on them, because by the time someone has found this letter, I will have long been dead. Ha ha! I leave this world with many regrets, but there was one thing I don't regret, and that was giving my heart to her. Even though she had only been my girlfriend for a few hours, those hours were the happiest hours of my life. I pray that she will live her life to the fullest, not only for herself, but also for my sake. Reading this letter, I wish you a blessed day. I don't know who you are, where you're from, or what you're going through. However, let me just tell you one thing. Live your life to the fullest, and live without regrets. For there are many like me who won't be able to see tomorrow's sunrise once we close our eyes tonight. I never cared about the world before, but when I saw the last sunset of my life, I realized that I had missed many beautiful opportunities. Don't be like me. Don't waste your life. Treasure every moment, as if it was your last. And before I end this letter, allow me to give you my final advice. Always bring tissues with you wherever you go. William, the boy who died so that others may live. P.S. In the small chance that you are the one who found this letter, please, ignore the first and second half of what you have read. I was just joking. Don't take my words seriously. If fate wills it, then our paths will definitely cross again. I wish that, the next time we meet, we will be able to finish our unfinished business. I promise that when that time comes, I will never let you go. Well then, I'm going ahead first. Don't miss me too much, okay? Also, you're not allowed to follow me right away, because if you do, I will be really sad. Take care of my little brothers and sisters in the orphanage for me. See you later, Belle. A single tear fell, followed by another. Soon the handwritten letter was drenched in tears. Belle's vision blurred as the tears in her eyes fell like rain. William, I'm sorry. Belle held the letter close to her chest. I'm sorry. As the sun disappeared from the horizon, and the first stars appeared in the sky, only the strong beating of William's heart within her chest accompanied her until she no longer had tears to shed. Chapter 2. Temple of 10,000 Gods. When William opened his eyes, he found himself lying on top of a small golden cloud that was flying in the sky. At first he thought that he was still dreaming, but the memories of how Belle collapsed in front of him came flooding in. Along with the flood of memories, a realization dawned upon him. That's right, I'm already dead, William muttered. He unconsciously placed his hand over his chest to feel his heartbeat, but he felt and heard nothing. After heaving a sigh, the boy sat cross-legged on top of the cloud as if it was the most natural thing to do in the world. After doing so, memories of his life flashed before his eyes. William saw happy memories, sad memories, and memories that he didn't want to see ever again. At the end of his reminiscing, the image of a beautiful girl with long black hair made him bite his lip in frustration. Truth be told, he was very worried about her. Did the operation succeed? Did the doctors make it in time? Will the hospital director keep his promise? Many questions popped inside his head. However, he knew that there was nothing more that he could do to affect the outcome of the events that had transpired. The reason? He was already dead. There was no use worrying about things that were beyond his control. I hope you're safe, Belle, William said as he raised his head. A golden portal was shining in front of him, and he knew that his journey had come to an end. He had never believed in God before, for God never did anything for him when he was alive. He also didn't believe in heaven and hell. The only thing he believed in was reincarnation. Perhaps he was influenced by the countless novels that he had read while staying at the hospital. His only hobby was to read stories about cultivation, kingdom building, slice of life, transmigration, historical romance, and many other themes. If there really is a God, then he better prepare himself to get hit by my fist. William narrowed his eyes as he gazed at the golden portal that was getting larger every second. If I find out that he also took Belle, I will beat him up until even his mama doesn't recognize him anymore. Those were the last words William said before the cloud entered the golden portal. What he saw on the other side of the portal blew him away. It reminded him of the time his class went to the planetarium for their science field trip. Just what in the world? William asked absent-mindedly as he stared at the vastness of space. Countless stars, planets, and galaxies could be seen in the distance. Before the teenage boy could even process everything that he was seeing, the cloud sped up and headed towards a giant planet that looked very similar to Earth. Surprisingly, several other golden clouds appeared beside William as the cloud made its way towards the planet. A procession of golden clouds numbering in the millions formed in less than a minute. Each of them was also carrying a person, each varying in age. Some were old, some were young, and some were incredibly young. Children not older than 3 years old looked back at William with a curious gaze, while sucking on their thumbs. William felt an ache in his chest as he looked at the young children with a sad expression. They reminded him of his little brothers and sisters back at the orphanage. As they drew nearer the planet, a surprising change happened to the procession of golden clouds. The clouds carrying the old people broke free from the formation and headed towards the eastern side of the planet. The clouds carrying the children who were below the age of 5 flew towards the south. It didn't take long for William to realize that they were being segregated by some unknown power who seemed to be manipulating the order of the clouds. The cloud that William was riding on didn't change direction and continued to go straight towards the center of the planet. A few other people were in the same group as him, but they numbered less than 100. As the clouds they were riding on descended from the sky, a magnificent temple appeared before their eyes. An old man, with long white hair and beard, stood in front of the entrance and looked at them with a smile on his face. "Greetings to each and every one of you," the old man said with a kind and soothing voice. "I know that all of you have a lot of questions. Although I don't have the answers to all of them, I will be more than happy to answer those that I know. Is there any of you who would like to ask a question?" "Me." A skinny young man who seemed to be in his early 20s raised his hand. "Go on," the old man replied. "Are you God?" the skinny man asked. "No," the old man answered. "I am just one of their many helpers. They're helpers." "You mean there is more than one God?" a pretty lady asked. "Oh, yes." The old man smiled. "Some of them are old and some are new. By the way, the name of this temple is the Temple of 10,000 Gods. Although I say 10,000 gods, the exact number of gods that reside within is unknown." The old man paused before continuing his explanation. "It has been eons since this temple was named, and many gods have been born during the passing of time. Of course, it is also true that many gods had perished as well." William and the others fell silent as they digested the old man's words. Even so, being as young as they were, their curiosity got the better of them. "Why so many?" A handsome boy with blonde hair and blue eyes asked. "Isn't there only one true God?" "Good question." The old man nodded his head in appreciation. "You came from Earth, correct?" "Yes," the handsome boy replied. "Let's say that on Earth there is one true God." The old man smiled. "Then, what about other worlds? If each world had one true God, then wouldn't that mean that there are countless true gods in the various worlds within this universe?" The handsome boy widened his eyes in realization. He understood what the old man was talking about and no longer asked any questions. The old man made a gesture towards the Temple of 10,000 Gods and continued his explanation. "You see, a God is born out of people's beliefs. With this logic, it also means that a new God is born every now and then. The stronger the belief, the stronger the God will be. After the passing of time, many gods were born and many gods were lost. The moment a god is forgotten is the moment these gods will cease to exist. In short, instead of going directly into the cycle of reincarnation, all of you will be given a chance to choose a patron god before you journey towards your next life," the old man added. "Wait, I know this." The nerdy boy adjusted his glasses as he prepared to voice out his guess. "If we go according to what I have read in light novels, these gods will give us cheap powers, powerful artifacts, divine weapons, and other blessings that will give us an edge on our next life, correct?" "Something like that," the old man replied as he played with his long beard. "Each god has their own specialty, and most of them give their followers the same items or ability." "I knew it!" The nerdy boy pumped up his fist with excitement. His eyes were sparkling as he looked at the gate behind the old man with anticipation. "Since we don't have much time left, I will just cut to the chase," the old man announced. "All of you are here because the gods looked upon all of you favorably. Perhaps you did something in your life that deserved their recognition." The old man paused for a brief moment to allow the meaning of his words sink in. "Well, if there are no more questions, let's go in." The old man waved his hand and the gate of the temple opened. "Let me welcome you once again to the Temple of 10,000 Gods. Chapter 3, Finding a Patron God. Come one, come all, step right up and don't be shy. I never believed in love at first sight, but that was before I saw you. I hope you know CPR, because you just took my breath away. If being sexy was a crime, you'd be guilty as charged. I was wondering if you were an artist because you were so good at drawing me in. William looked at the scene in front of him in a daze. After entering the gates of the temple, he found himself on what seemed to be a bazaar. Beautiful and handsome merchants wearing unique dresses were calling out to the people that had entered the temple with him. William's comrades were immediately drawn in by the flattery of these men and women. The boy was amazed because these merchants were able to say the cheesiest pickup lines without breaking a sweat. Aside from William's group, there were other people who were wandering around the different stalls as if they were window shopping. William was amused because some of these merchants were even fighting with each other to draw these customers to check out the things that they had to offer. While he was still trying to understand what was happening around him, a chubby man wearing an elegant robe walked up to him with a smile. "Good day, young friend," the chubby man greeted. "Are you interested in becoming the strongest man in the world?" William looked behind him. Seeing that no one was there, he looked back at the chubby man and pointed to himself. "Are you talking to me?" William inquired. "Yes." The chubby man nodded in affirmation. "Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gavin, and I am the god of all trades. If you are looking for the most amazing patron god in this temple, then that's me." Suddenly, an apple hit the back of Gavin's head, which made him cry out loud in pain. "You bastard, how dare you lie in front of the children?" A beautiful woman wearing a tree hat filled with small apples roared in anger. "How dare you call yourself the most amazing patron god in this temple? Boy, forget that, lame man. Come here and choose me as your patron god." The woman made a come-over-here gesture, and William found his body floating towards her stall. He did his best to take control of his body. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't even move his fingers. In the end, he resigned himself to his fate and drifted towards the stall of the goddess. "My name is Lulu, and I am the apple goddess." Lulu patted William's shoulder with a grin. "Have you ever heard of the famous saying about apples? An apple a day keeps the doctor away." William answered with uncertainty. "You are only half right." Lulu grinned. "Hey Lulu, I saw him first. Don't snatch my boy." Gavin charged towards Lulu's stall with a determined expression. The gods inside the temple were all competitors. Every time a batch of chosen ones appeared, all of them would do their best to make them their followers before they reincarnated into their next life. "Go away!" Lulu screamed, unbefitting of her beauty. She then took one of the little apples on her hat and threw it at Gavin. The little apple grew in size mid-flight until it became as big as a basketball. It hit Gavin squarely in his chest, which sent him flying 100 meters away from her stall. "You see that, William?" Lulu smirked. "An apple a day keeps everyone away if you throw it hard enough." "All right," William answered while slowly backing away from the apple goddess. "Aw, don't be like that." Lulu went out of her stall and grabbed William's hand. "Why don't we get to know each other first? You know, if you make me your patron god, you will receive a lot of benefits." What kind of benefits?" "For example, I can give you the power to grow apple trees anywhere. Whether it be a desert, a frozen tundra, underwater, or any place you want to grow an apple. Heck, you can even grow it in your body." "That sounds environmentally friendly," William stuttered. "I know, right?" Lulu smirked. "Now just sign this contract and we're good to go." Lulu produced a contract and a pen out of thin air. She even personally handed the pen to William, shaking hands, and urged him to sign the contract. William wasn't willing to sign the contract, but the vice grip on his shoulders were preventing him from running away. Fortunately, Gavin returned and pried Lulu's arm away from William. "Oi, play by the rules." Gavin stood in between William and Lulu. "You can't force anyone to sign a contract." "Che, I was so close, you bastard," Lulu muttered under her breath. Gavin stood beside William and patted his shoulder. "Don't worry, brother, as long as I'm around, no one can force you to sign a contract. Since you just arrived, allow me to be your tour guide." Gavin then gave Lulu the "you have a problem with that" look, which made the apple goddess glare at him. Lulu snorted and returned to her stall. But before doing so, she called out to William and told him that he could always come back to her if he didn't find a god that suited him. Gavin walked side by side with William as they toured the bazaar. He answered William's questions and even corrected some of the boys' misconceptions about gods. "There are 3 types of gods," Gavin explained as they walked. "The primordial gods, the personification gods, and the new generation gods. The primordial gods consist of the gods that were born when the multiverse was created. You might know them as the god of fire, god of water, earth, wind, lightning, etc. The personification gods are gods born out of emotions and professions. God of fear, god of lust, god of vanity, and god of pride are examples of gods born from emotions. The god of war, the god of blacksmith, god of hunters, god of music, god of art, are gods born out of professions." Gavin paused before continuing his explanation. "As for the new generation gods, these are the gods who were just recently born and have very unique traits." "Unique traits?" William asked. "We'll be seeing one of these new generation gods soon," Gavin replied. "Do you see that long line of people over there? They are lining up to sign the contract of that new generation god." So Yim's curiosity, Gavin gave a wry smile and took the boy to see the goddess that was mending the stall. A little girl who seemed no older than 12 years old was shaking hands with a teenage boy with a big smile on her face. Her pink hair, red eyes, and cute lips made her look extremely adorable. "Big brother, I love you." The little goddess kissed the boy's cheek. "Now please sign your name over here." The boy happily signed the contract while the people standing in line were shouting slogans like "Flat is justice" and "Lolita, no touch." William froze as he looked at the little girl and Gavin. He had a hunch on who the goddess was, but he was not 100% sure. As if reading his thoughts, Gavin nodded his head. "This stall belongs to the lowly goddess, Lily." "Lowly goddess?" "Yes. She is a new generation goddess that was born from the beliefs of people with unique taste." "William, don't tell me. You are one of these people with unique tastes." "Of course not." William denied with every fiber of his being. As if sensing that they were talking about her, Lily looked at William and Gavin. The cute Lily smiled and waved at William. "I'm a simple man," William thought as he waved back. "I see a cutie waving at me. I wave back." Gavin smirked and took out reading glasses from his storage dimension. "Don't be deceived by what you see," Gavin whispered. What is this?" William asked. "This is a divine artifact called the Glasses of Truth," Gavin explained. "It can see through any disguise and illusions." William gave Gavin a skeptical look before wearing the glasses. He then looked at the cute girl waving at him and froze in shock. The cute Loli was nowhere to be seen. Instead, a midget with a wrinkled face and big nose was staring back at him. The midget smiled and William could see the 3 teeth that were sticking out of her gums. 1 tooth on the top and 2 on the bottom. The lowly granny winked and blew William a flying kiss. A pink heart with wings materialized out of thin air and flew towards the young boy. Out of reflex, William swatted the flying heart, sending it towards the floor. Determined to finish its mission, the pink heart dusted itself as it slowly stood up from the floor. It then attempted to flap its wings to fly. Unfortunately, William didn't give it a chance to make a comeback. He stepped on it and ground it to pieces. After making sure that the heart was utterly destroyed, he ran away as if the devil was right behind his back. Gavin chuckled as he followed the panicked boy who was running for his life. In his eyes, William was a very interesting person. If possible, he wanted him to become his follower. Chapter 4, William's Choice. After running away from the stall of the lowly goddess, William toured the other stalls of Temple of the Gods. After spending 3 days inside the temple, the boy finally decided on the patron god he would follow. "Welcome." A beautiful girl with cat ears shook William's hand. "You made the right decision in coming here. Our god is the best, I know." William blushed as he looked at the god who was standing in front of the stall. A handsome man with a noble bearing noticed William's stare and nodded in the boy's direction. Gavin, the god of all trades, was standing by his side. William didn't choose him to become his patron god. Although he had an unresigned expression on his face, he still respected William's decision and decided to stay with him until he signed his contract. Many beautiful women were handing out contracts to the people who had lined up in front of their stall. According to William's estimate, there had to be at least over 500 men lining up to this particular stall. What's so special about this stall, you ask? Naturally, it was because of the god that managed this stall. He was none other than the Harem god, and many men, both young and old, were more than happy to worship him and become his followers. "I still don't get it," Gavin said. "Are all of your brains located on your lower half?" Everyone who was in the queue glared at Gavin in disdain. William, on the other hand, averted his gaze. He had died a virgin. It was one of the things that he had regretted in his past life. If possible, he would like to make up for this shortcoming. This was the main reason why he chose the harem god as his patron god. It might sound selfish and shameful, but to those who weren't able to live a life worth living, it was a temptation that was too hard to pass up. Gavin knew how William died. Every god inside the temple had that ability. He was very impressed with the boy because he was able to make that kind of sacrifice in order to save someone's life. Not many people could do that. Perhaps this was the reason why the gods gave William another chance to live a better life. An hour passed and it was finally William's turn to sign his contract. "Brother, I am honored that you chose me as your patron god," the harem god said with a sincere smile on his face. He took a glimpse at William's past and saw the sacrifice that he had made for his little brothers and sisters in the orphanage. He also admired how resolute he was when he gave his heart to save his lover. This made the harem god look at William favorably. "William, aside from the blessing that you will receive from me as your patron god, I will also give you a piece of my divinity," the harem god stated in a firm manner. "From this moment onward, I hereby acknowledge you as my little brother, big bro." William threw his shame down the gutter and shamelessly hugged the harem god. Gavin clicked his tongue when he saw the scene, but there was nothing he could do. The only thing he could do was to watch as his most favored candidate was snatched away from him. "All right, first things first. Let's sign the contract." The harem god waved his hand to summon a contract, but nothing happened. The harem god frowned. He waved his hand for the second time, but no contract appeared in his hand. Can you give me a minute?" The harem god asked in an awkward manner. I'll just contact customer service and ask what's going on. William nodded his head with a smile. He wasn't worried because these kinds of things happen all the time when he was still alive on Earth. Perhaps the machine that was printing the contract ran out of ink or something. At least that was what William thought at that time. Hello? This is the harem god. I called because I ran out of contracts. Can you please send me more? The harem god explained the situation at hand. Is that so? The harem god frowned. Can't you do something about it? Just one more contract will do. I will not ask for more. Sorry, sir. You have reached your maximum number of followers, the customer service representative replied. Even if you ask for one more contract, it cannot be done. The divine system will not allow anyone to violate this rule. Just give it up, sir. The harem god sighed as he ended the call. He looked at William with unwillingness. Such a good brother, and he wasn't able to give him the happiness he deserved. Gavin noticed the change in the harem god's expression, and immediately thought of something. Could it be? Gavin thought. He didn't dare voice out his thoughts out loud in the case that he was mistaken. Even so, he was willing to grasp this thin strand of hope that had appeared in front of his eyes. Brother, I'm very sorry. The harem god bowed his head. I had reached the maximum number of followers. I cannot add more even if I wanted to. Gavin almost did a fist pump as he heard the harem god's explanation. I knew it. William was heartbroken by the news. It was like lining up to buy the limited edition game that he wanted to play so badly. Then when it was his turn to purchase it, the staff would tell him that they had run out of stock. Don't worry, brother. The harem god patted William's shoulder. Even if you don't sign my contract, I will still give you my divinity. Huh? Gavin looked at the harem god as if he was seeing a weird creature. Granting someone a divinity was different from signing a contract. A contract only gives you the regular blessing of a god. A divinity, on the other hand, would grant you special privileges that would be at least 10 times better than a regular contract. The two couldn't even compare by a long shot. Hey, are you sure you are going to give William a piece of your divinity? Gavin asked. It's not against the rules. The harem god was adamant. This is my brother, my sworn brother. I cannot do him wrong. You lucky son of a... Gavin patted William's shoulder. This is good news for you, William. William was unaware of how important the divinity of a god was. The only thing he had learned from the conversation was that he had somehow gained something better than a contract. The harem god gave William a chess piece. The boy looked at it and found it familiar. The king? William muttered. Is this your divinity, big brother? Yes. The harem god nodded his head. Place it inside your soul, little brother. That way no one will be able to steal it from you. Also, from now on, feel free to call me Brother Issei. William obediently did as he was told and placed the king over his chest. The chess piece glowed and entered William's body. He felt that his soul became stronger, but he still couldn't understand what kind of ability he would gain from the divinity that was given to him. All right, since I reached my quota, I'll follow you until you choose your patron god. The harem god patted his chest with confidence. Don't worry. As long as I'm around, no one would dare to scam you and force you to become their follower. Thank you, Brother Issei. No need to thank me. This is the least that I can do for you, William. William had just finished nodding his head when he heard a familiar voice shouting behind him. There you are, big brother. The lowly goddess, Lily, jumped to his embrace like a cannonball. Everything happened so quickly that William didn't have enough time to dodge the lowly's attack. Lily held William's body in a vice grip as she pressed her little head on his chest. Big brother, I really like you. The lowly goddess said. Why don't you become my follower? I am willing to give you many benefits. All you need to do is... Ehi, give me a kiss. Fgek, William screamed internally. I'd rather kiss a frog than kiss you. His body spasmed uncontrollably as every fiber of his being tried to break free from the lowly Granny's hold. The little lowly was unaware that William had already seen through her disguise. Lily continued to do her best to act cute and seduce William to become her follower. Gavin smirked as he watched this scene unfold. Another chance had presented itself in front of him, and he would be stupid if he didn't use this to his advantage. Chapter 5, Signing of Contract. Big brother, please become my follower, Lily said with upturned eyes. William was sure that if he hadn't managed to see the lowly goddess's true form, then he might have readily agreed to her pleading. Sorry, but I'm not interested. William looked around in desperation. He looked at his brother Issei for help, but the latter only nodded his head with a smile. The lowly goddess is also a good choice, brother, Issei commented. A few of my lovers are lowless. Not only are they cute and adorable, they are also very loyal as well. Lily gave William a big grin. Big brother, come, choose me as your patron god. I promise that you won't regret it. Remember, jail is just another room. Out of sight, out of mind. Seeing that his sworn brother was in cahoots with the lowly granny, William's gaze shifted to the one god that had never left his side since the day he stepped inside the temple. Gavin, please help me, William pleaded. Why should I help you? Lily is a good goddess. Gavin smirked. The two of you are a match made in heaven, right? The two of us are a match made in heaven. Lily happily nodded her head in agreement. William could feel that his body was slowly turning numb. Maybe it was due to his body's reaction to the lowly goddess, or perhaps it was due to the divine essence that was being released by Lily at close proximity. Out of desperation, William used a trump card that would ensure his safety. Gavin, if you help me, then I promise to become your follower, William roared. Lily was taken aback by William's decision. This was the first time this happened to her. The majority of the people that had entered the temple would always agree to sign a contract with her the moment she acted cute and clingy. It never crossed her mind that because of her actions, she forced William into a dead end. You heard him, Lily. Gavin stepped forward and pried the little lowly away from William's stiff body. Shh, Lily pouted. After being freed from the lowly granny's hold, William was finally able to relax. He took a few deep breaths to compose himself before looking at Gavin with grateful eyes. Give me the contract, William said. I will sign it. Gavin didn't do anything, and simply looked at William with a serious expression. He really wanted to give the boy his contract, but he didn't want to force him either. The god of all trades knew that he played dirty in order to get William's promise, and he felt very guilty. What's the rush? Gavin cleared his throat. It would be best if we talk about this while having good food. Sounds like a great idea. Issei nodded his head in agreement. He felt that something was amiss, but he decided to just follow the flow for now. I'm coming too. Lily didn't want to be left out, so she decided to follow them. Gavin took William and the two tag-along gods to the most popular restaurant inside the temple. This restaurant was personally managed by the god of cooking. William's tongue almost melted when he took his first bite. Delicious. William was in awe and devoured the food on his plate with gusto. Although he was already dead, the food made him recall the time when he went to sleep while feeling hungry. The orphanage didn't have many funds, and the food was limited. He would often share his meal with his little brother and sisters so that they wouldn't feel too hungry. The three gods caught a glimpse of his sad memory and ordered more foods to be brought to their table. They looked at the boy with pitiful eyes and decided to let him eat a lifetime worth of delicious food. After the meal ended, William patted his swollen belly in contentment. That was the best, William said as he closed his eyes in satisfaction. Do you want more? Gavin asked. We could always order more, thank you, but I'm already full. All right, if you say so. William glanced around the restaurant. Most of the customers were gods. He deemed that most of the chosen ones had already chosen their patron gods and entered their cycle of reincarnation. Gavin, can you please tell me the duties of a follower? William scratched his cheek sheepishly. I don't really get this stuff. Is there something that I must do in exchange for your blessing? Before that, let me tell you more about me. Gavin decided to come clean. He wanted William to choose him by his own free will, and not because he was forced to do it. After my explanation, you can decide whether you want to choose me to become your patron god or not. William was surprised by Gavin's demeanor. In the end, he decided to nod his head and listen to the god's explanation. Seeing that William was giving him his full attention, Gavin started his explanation. As you may already know, my slogan is Jack of all trades, master of none. Just like your good brother, Issei. The moment you sign my contract, then you will receive my blessing. My blessing works like this. You will have a 20% increase in the experience that you will gain when you increase the level of your job class. Job class? Just like in games, William asked. He had played RPGs before, and he was quite familiar with the leveling concept. The boy had also read plenty of novels in regards to cultivation in virtual games, so it was easy for him to understand Gavin's explanation. Yes, that is the first benefit of becoming my follower. Gavin nodded his head in confirmation. The second benefit is that you will get an extra skill point whenever your job class levels up. Isn't that amazing? It is indeed amazing. However, I have one question, and that is, will your blessing apply to the world I am going to live in? I doubt that your blessing will be useful if I was reincarnated on Earth. After all, there are no monsters on Earth. You can't gain experience from killing monsters. Who said you only gain experience when killing monsters? Gavin asked back with a knowing smile. You don't have to kill monsters, William asked back. You don't need to kill monsters in order to gain experience to upgrade your job class. Remember this, William, every world has its laws. I believe you Earthlings have a saying, when in Rome, do what Romans do. The same can be said to other worlds. When you live in that world, you do the things that people do in that world, understand? Yes, good. Gavin continued his explanation. The third benefit is this. Once you unlock 10 jobs, you will be able to merge them all together. For example, you can be a knight, a priest, a sorcerer, a druid, a dragon warrior, etc., etc. That sounds too good to be true. What is the catch? William was not naive. If everyone could have this overpowered ability, then Gavin wouldn't be this desperate to make him his follower. Gavin gave a wry smile as he decided to be honest with William. The thing is, most people can only have 1 to 3 professions in their lifetime. Achieving 10 professions or more is only possible for long-lived creatures like the elves. So, basically, if I'm not born an elf, then I'm feked. Not exactly. Only the ability to merge the job classes into one will remain unreachable for you. The rest of the benefits remain. Oh, that's good news then. William felt relieved because the blessings that Gavin mentioned were not a bad deal. All right, where do I sign? Are you sure that you really wanted to become my follower? There are better gods out there, you know, Gavin replied. It's fine, I trust you. William looked at Gavin seriously. I believe that you are telling me the truth. Gavin felt the stone in his heart drop. He waved his hand and a contract appeared out of thin air. He then handed it to William along with a pen. The god of all trades did his best to prevent his hands from shaking. In truth, aside from William, he only had one last follower. A god with no followers would cease to exist. This was why he was quite desperate to recruit William under his wing. In the end, his honesty towards the boy made the latter choose him as his patron god. After signing the contract, William felt a strong connection between him and Gavin. It was a very warm feeling, and it made him feel safe. Chapter 6. I'm going to fucking dismantle you. So, this is what it feels like when you sign a contract with a god, William muttered. I'm really jealous, big brother. You should have made me your patron god instead. Lily pouted. The little loli grabbed William's hand and looked up at him with little puppy eyes. William ignored Lily and looked at Gavin in a new light. Is it over? Is it time for me to reincarnate? Not just yet. I'm going to give this to you as well, Gavin said with a smile. Issei and Lily showed a surprised expression, but it quickly disappeared from their faces. Both of them had recognized what Gavin's gift was, and it made them nod their heads in appreciation. What is this? William asked. He eyed the object that Gavin had given him. Its width and length were only 2 centimeters at most. Somehow it looked very familiar. The boy was sure that he had seen this object back on Earth. I believe it is called a CPU core back on Earth, Gavin explained. This is my final gift to you. I pray that it serves you well in your next life. Thank you, William replied. He was very grateful because he could tell that Gavin gave him something very precious. Although he didn't know what the CPU core was capable of, he had a feeling that it would play an important role in his rebirth. My turn? Lily raised her hand and handed William a lollipop. Big brother, this is a gift from Lily. Please, don't refuse. Hey Lily, what do you think you're doing? Gavin glared at the little loli. William is now my follower. Stop making your moves on him. I know that he is your follower, but so what? Lily snorted. I'm not breaking any rules. Lily is right. Issei, who was watching from the side, grinned. She is not breaking any rules. Little brother, you should gratefully accept Lily's gift. It's not every day that she takes a liking to someone who is not her follower. All right. William gratefully accepted Lily's lollipop, which made the smile on the loli's face widen. Fortunately, he was not wearing the glasses of truth. If he was, he might have already backed away in fright. Gavin sighed, but didn't pursue the matter. Thank you, Lily. Why thank me? I gave it to Big Brother because I like him. Lily snorted. I didn't do it for you. Don't get the wrong idea, Baka. The CPU core and the lollipop floated in the air and shot towards William's chest. A surge of divine energy permeated his soul and it made him feel lightheaded. After 10 minutes, William finally regained his composure. He once again thanked Gavin, Issei, and Lily for the gifts they had given him. After finishing their meal, they took William to the cycle of reincarnation. The cycle of reincarnation was a place where countless portals, linked to different worlds, hovered in the starry sky. The colorful portals themselves looked like stars, and William felt fear and excitement at the same time. I think William should go to that golden portal over there, Issei proposed. Golden portals are good, but I don't want Big Brother to live his life like a pig, Lily interjected. The silver portal will be perfect for him because it will give him room for growth. Can you tell me more about the portals? William asked. Since it was related to his rebirth, he wanted to know more about the differences between the different portals. No, the 3 gods replied firmly. We are not allowed to divulge any information relating to the portals. William may not be very smart, but he understood that Issei and Lily had already given him some hints on what portals were the best. Gavin stood by his side and waited for him to choose a world where he would be born. While he was pondering his decision, the golden portal in front of him glowed. An old man, wearing white robes and carrying a wooden staff, appeared before him. Gavin? Issei? Lily? The old man was surprised to see his acquaintances in the cycle of reincarnation. Are all of you here to wait for my return? Sorry, but I didn't bring any souvenirs with me. As if, old man, Lily raised her small fist. We're here to send off William and not to welcome your return. The old man looked slightly disappointed. However, his expression changed when he looked at William. Oh, this is pretty interesting. Ha, marvelous. The old man moved closer and eyed William up and down. For a soul to receive so many divinumph. Gavin and Issei covered the old man's mouth and dragged him away. Lily, on the other hand, engaged William in idle chatter. The 3 gods had unanimously agreed that William should remain clueless for the time being. Old man, you better not say anything. Issei glared. This is a secret. If the other gods found out about this, there is going to be a riot. Shut your trap, old man, Gavin pleaded. This is my last chance to get a follower. Don't make me beat you up. Fine, you little brats. The old man agreed, but a mischievous smile appeared on his face. However, let me join as well. This looks fun. Besides, that boy seemed tailor-made to become my disciple. Huh? Wait, old man, are you for real? You plan to make William your disciple? Why not? It's not against the rules, right? Besides, this is also beneficial for you, Gavin. Gavin frowned. Old man, the boy soul couldn't accept any more divinities. Having 3 is already pushing it to the limit. Don't worry, I won't give him any divinities, the old man said. I'll give him something different. After the 3 came to an understanding, they returned to where William and Lily were waiting for them. Hello, William, the old man greeted the boy with a brilliant smile. My name is David and I am a friend of these 3 gods. Hello, Sir David. William bowed his head. Have you already chosen the portal you plan to enter? David asked. Yes, William replied with determination. I will go to that silver portal over there. William pointed at a silver portal that was dispersing rainbow lights from its center. That world? Not bad. It's a very good choice. David nodded his head in agreement. Well, since the 2 of us met, then it must be fate. Let me give you a souvenir before you leave this place. David handed William the wooden staff that he was holding. Take this with you. Eh? Biba Gramps, this is your walking stick, right? William stared at David with confusion. Relax. I have more where that came from. David waved his hand casually. A wooden stick, similar to the one William was holding, appeared in David's hand. Take that as a memento of our meeting. David patted the boy's shoulder. Now off you go. William's body floated in the air and flew towards the portal. However, he stopped midway and looked back to the 4 gods who had made his stay in the Temple of the Gods memorable. Thank you, everyone. William bowed respectfully. I'll do my best in my next life. William, before you go, please listen carefully, Gavin said. As you set off on your new journey, remember that the journey itself has meaning. The sunrise, the sunset, and the beauty of the world around you. Embrace them all and live your life to the fullest. Thank you. I will. William waved his hand one last time and faced the portal in front of him. Suddenly, a truck emerged from the portal right next to the silver portal that William was planning to enter. With a loud crash, the truck hit William and sent him spiraling towards a red portal in the distance. In a span of a few seconds, William's soul entered the portal, leaving the 4 gods frozen in place. Gavin, Issei, Lily, David, Feck. The truck finally stopped and transformed into a 10-meter-tall robot. Did I just hit someone? Truck-kun, I'm going to fecking dismantle you, Gavin roared in anger. Chapter 7. William von Onsworth. She had been in labor for more than 3 hours and was already feeling very weak. What's taking it so long? An elf who seemed to be in his early 30s paced back and forth outside the room. Like all elves, he was very good-looking. However, that handsome face of his was masked with anxiety. Giving birth takes time, a beautiful elf replied. Stop walking around, you are making me nervous as well. I'm worried about our daughter, the handsome elf replied. What if something happens to her and the child? What should we do, Aaron? Nothing will happen, Theoden. Aaron glared at her husband in annoyance. Get a grip, will you? Just look at Morgan. See? He's pretty calm. Theoden glanced at the redhead man who was leaning on the wall at the corner of the room. He had his arms crossed over his chest, and he was standing still like a statue. His eyes were closed and seemed to be resting. The handsome elf finally calmed down and sat beside his wife. Both elves held each other's hands and prayed to their gods to keep their daughter and her child safe from harm. Inside the delivery room, My lady, I can see the baby's head, the midwife said with excitement. Just a little bit more. Just one more push. The beautiful lady lying on the bed gave a guttural grunt as she obeyed the midwife's pleading. Her long blonde hair stuck to her skin, and her emerald green eyes were tinged with fatigue. Only her unwavering determination to see her child kept her sanity from losing control. After much hardship, the baby was finally born to the world. The midwife held the newborn baby in her hands. She checked its gender and was about to congratulate her lady for giving birth to a boy, when she noticed that something was amiss. After giving it much thought, the midwife realized that the baby didn't cry when it was born. A frown appeared on her face as she used magic to clean up the baby's body. She paid close attention to the baby's breathing and its heartbeat. For a brief moment, the midwife thought that the baby had immediately died after it was born. She had seen such cases before, and it made her very anxious. Fortunately, she noticed the newborn's chest rise, which was a clear indication that he had started breathing. However, the baby's breathing was very slow and labored. "What's wrong?" the beautiful lady who had just given birth asked. "Did something happen to my baby?" Her question brought the midwife out of her daze. She hastily presented the baby to his mother and congratulated her. "Congratulations, my lady. It's a boy," the midwife said. "However, the baby is very weak and I'm afraid." The beautiful lady ignored the midwife and held her newborn son close to her bosom. All the exhaustion she had felt during her labor were washed away by the happiness she was feeling at that moment. "You look like a little caterpillar," the beautiful lady teased her son as a tear slid down the side of her face. She caressed the baby's cheek softly and channeled her magic to her hands. Heal. After casting 2 consecutive spells, the baby finally moved and started to cry. The 2 elves who were waiting outside the room glanced at each other. Erin cried and buried her head on her husband's embrace. Although she kept on telling her husband that everything was going to be fine, she herself was feeling anxious. The red-head man who was leaning on the wall finally opened his eyes. He breathed a sigh of relief as he looked at the ceiling of the room. His gray eyes were tinged with happiness and sorrow. Happiness because his brother's child had been born. Sorrow because the child would never get to see his father in this lifetime. My lady, your child is very tenacious. The midwife smiled as she looked at the child. I really thought that he wouldn't be able to make it. The beautiful lady kissed her baby and smiled. Are you saying that he has a strong will to live? Exactly. The midwife nodded her head in agreement. Will, the beautiful lady muttered. From now on your name will be William. William von Unsworth. The beautiful lady looked at her son lovingly. Grow big and strong, just like your father. Suddenly the door sprang open and the 2 elves entered the room. Theoden immediately checked his daughter's condition. His heart ached when he saw the exhaustion on his daughter's face. However, he could also sense happiness and pride inside her beautiful exterior. Erin went to her daughter's side and kissed her cheeks. Congratulations, Arwen. Thank you, mother. Arwen replied with a faint smile. Seeing the mother and daughter pair, the handsome elf felt left out and decided to scrutinize the baby who was nestled in his daughter's embrace. Why is this child so quiet? Theoden asked. Are human babies that weak? What are you talking about? He's not a human child. He's a half-elf, Erin corrected her husband. Father, my baby is not weak. Arwen pouted. He's strong. If not, then he wouldn't have been born in this world. Theoden frowned, but knew better than to argue with his wife and daughter. After checking their daughter and the baby, the 2 elves left the room in order to let the mother and child have some quality time with each other. After all, they had to part sooner or later. Arwen unbuttoned her dress and gently guided her son's lips to her breast. The baby still had his eyes closed. Clearly, he was still weak, but his natural instincts allowed him to perform the most basic thing that a newborn child should do, and that was to drink his mother's milk. Deep inside William's consciousness, words started to form. However, his soul was still, damage due to being hit by truck cum before he entered the cycle of reincarnation. Because of this, he was unable to see the words that had appeared on his status page. Daily quest, drink milk has been completed. Rewards, 5 EXP points. Current EXP, 5/100. Name William von Ainsworth. Race, half-elf, hit points 5/5. Mana tense, job class none. Subclass none. Sub-1. Intelligence 2. Skills none. Chapter 8 Fiefdom of Lant. Please promise me that you will look after him, Arwen said as she held William in a loving embrace. Tears fell freely from her eyes because she couldn't bear parting with her son. However, in order to keep him safe, she had no choice but to let him go to where the humans lived. Theoden and Erin were also feeling depressed because their first grandson was going away. If not for the responsibilities that had been passed on to their lineage, they might have done everything in their power to keep William by their side. I can't promise you that, Morgan replied in a firm manner. You know that if he stayed by my side, he would live a life filled with danger. However, don't worry. I will bring him to my hometown. My brother and his wife are already waiting for his arrival. I'm sure that they will keep him safe and happy. Arwen's lips quivered as she held on to her baby. William was still sleeping, and was unaware that he would be separated from his mother. He had only been in this new world for 2 weeks and still hadn't opened his eyes in all that time. His mother had been very worried about his condition, but she had already done her best. The child's body was healthy, so that only led to one problem. The child's soul. The elves had strong spiritual powers. After doing a spiritual scan on her child, Arwen found out that her baby's soul seemed to be damaged. The only good news was that the soul would gradually recover as time passed. Arwen believed that it would only take a month or two, at the very least, before William's soul fully recovered. Unfortunately, William missed to see his beautiful mother before he was taken away. My lady, it would be dangerous to delay this any longer, Arwen's maiden protector Sheila reminded. The Temple of Life is doing their best to stall the Elven Council, but their search has expanded to this part of the continent as well. I'm afraid it's only a matter of time before they find us. Arwen gave William a kiss on the lips before handing him over to Morgan. She then cast a protection spell that would put her baby into a state where time stood still. Only when Morgan reached his homeland would the spell be lifted. Do you want to give him anything before I go? Morgan asked. It will take many years before the two of you see each other again. I already left him a memento, Arwen answered as her gaze landed on the necklace that she had given her son. At the center of the necklace was a black ring. It was the ring that belonged to William's deceased father and Morgan's twin brother Maxwell. Morgan gazed at the familiar ring lying quietly on the baby's chest and nodded his head. He bid his final goodbye to Arwen and her parents before walking towards his mount. The 7-meter-tall manticore lowered its massive body and allowed Morgan to sit on its back. This creature had the body of a lion, the tail of a scorpion, and the wings of a dragon. It was a mighty beast that had accompanied Morgan in his journey to the peak of the mortal realm. After a few years, make sure to send him letters, Morgan said in encouragement. I'm sure that he would like to talk to his birth mother, even through letters. Arwen bitterly nodded her head. Even without Morgan's reminder, she would still send her son letters. She didn't want her son to think that his mother didn't care for him. The manticore flapped its wings and flew to the sky. Arwen wept as her baby slowly disappeared beyond the horizon. Somewhere on the western side of the southern continent, a manticore landed a mile away from the small fiefdom of Elyon. Although Morgan could just enter the city with his mount, he decided to be more low-key in his approach. He had been exiled from the Helen Kingdom many years ago. But if he wanted to return to his homeland, no one, not even the Blood Iron King, could stop him. The royal family, as well as the nobility, hated and feared him. In order to let his family live in peace, he decided to leave the kingdom and wander the continent. Remember, don't hunt indiscriminately. Morgan patted his manticore and gave it a stern reminder. The manticore gave a low growl of acknowledgement before it ran into the depths of the forest. Morgan shook his head helplessly as he walked on foot towards his brother's estate, located at the back of the city. No one saw him enter the city. Not the guards who were manning the gates, nor the patrols that were making their rounds. In less than half an hour, Morgan stood in front of a 3-story manor. This was the house where he and his brothers played around during their childhood. It had been almost 4 years since his last visit. You sure took your time, big brother. The main door of the manor opened, and a man who was in his late 20s greeted him with a smile. It had been a while, Morgan replied with a stiff smile. Mordred, 4 years, Mordred snorted. You should come back home more often. Also, don't use that lame excuse that you are exiled and you can't come home to visit. Who are you kidding? Why are you boys talking outside? A beautiful woman with dark brown hair appeared behind. Mordred. Morgan, nice to see you again. Come inside, I prepared your favorite dishes. You haven't changed, Anna, Morgan greeted. You're still as beautiful as ever. Enough with your sweet talk. Give me the baby. Anna happily walked towards Morgan to take a look at the baby in his arms. Anna gazed at the small child and felt her heart melting. Without waiting for Morgan's permission, she scooped the baby into her arms and planted a kiss on William's forehead. What is his name? Anna asked. William, Morgan answered. Very well, his nickname will be Will. Anna grinned. She then left the 2 men and went inside the house. The 2 brothers sighed and followed behind her. Although Mordred was the Baronet of Elyon, the one calling the shots at home was none other than Anna. When they entered the house, they could hear Anna talking to someone. Ella, this is Will, isn't he cute? Me? You think so too, right? Me? You see, he has been on a long journey. Can you give him some of your milk? Me? Morgan tilted his head as he saw Anna coaxing a goat to breastfeed William. The goat was only a meter tall and had a very fluffy coat. The 12-inch horns on its head had a reddish hue which made it look more refined. The goat stood still as Anna guided the baby's lips to drink some of its milk. The journey had been long, and if not for Arwen's spell, William might have starved along the way. Unknown to the sleeping William, his status page was once again updated as the goat's milk entered his system. Daily quest. Drink milk has been completed. Rewards, 5 EXP points. Current EXP, 75 over 100. Chapter 9, Escape. I must escape. A month passed since William arrived in Elyon. Morgan had only stayed for a week before leaving the Helen Kingdom. Anna sat on a chair while knitting clothes for her eldest son, Matthew. William was lying on a thick carpet beside her, accompanied by the Angorian goat Ella. I'm glad that William is a well-behaved child, Anna thought as she glanced at the baby who was currently drinking Ella's milk. Little did she know that this well-behaved child was busy planning for his future. 5 days after William arrived in Elyon, the small baby finally gained enough experience points to level up. This trigger prompted William's soul to have a complete recovery and allowed him to regain consciousness. At first, William was confused. For a brief moment after waking up, he thought that he was born as a goat. He almost panicked and cried out. Fortunately, his mouth was firmly sucking the goat's udders, which prevented him from making a scene. It didn't take long before he calmed down and started to observe his surroundings. After a few days, he was finally able to get a gist of the current situation and put his mind at ease. Daily quest, drink milk has been completed. Rewards, 5 EXP points. Current EXP, 125 over 200. After having his fill, William softly patted his mama Ella to tell her that he was done drinking her milk. Aya, Mama, thank you. Me, Aya. Can we go outside? The goat lightly shook its head and licked William's forehead. Seeing that it was impossible to convince his mama to take a stroll outside the house, William just focused on the things that he could do, and that was to check his status page. Aya. Status. Name, William von Ainsworth. Race, half-elf. Hit points, 5/5 mana, 10/10 job class. None subclass. None strength, 0 agility, 0 vitality, 1 intelligence, 2 dexterity, 0 skills, none titles, none available stat points, 6 available skill points. I wonder how I can get a job class, William thought. Still, according to the light novels I read, magicians are treated in high regard. Should I go for the magician route and put all my stats to a T? Suddenly, William remembered another story that he had read while he was still alive. If I choose to become a magician, then I might be called a genius, William mused. I can't let that happen. Geniuses are treated as stepping stones by the protagonists. I need to remain low-key and surprise them when they least expect it. This is the common template for successful reincarnators and transmigrators. After careful thought, William decided to hold his stat points for now, and just use them in the future. He believed that as long as he played his cards right, he would be a winner in life. A year passed as William lived the life of a baby. Although his life revolved around sleeping, pooping, talking to his mama Ella, and drinking milk, the boy who had only lived for 18 years in his past life was looking forward to a bright future. In that 1 year of drinking milk, William had gained 4 levels. Name: William von Ainsworth Race. Half-elf hit points. 10 tense mana. 15/15 job class. None subclass. None strength. 0+1 vitality. 1+1 intelligence. 2+1 dexterity. 0 skills. None available stat points. None available skill points. Current EXP, 184, over 1,366. I gained a few stat points for free. I wish I could find a way to get more experience points and get a job class. The day passed like every other day inside the Ainsworth Manor. After dinner, Anna carried William to their bedroom. Ella followed behind her. The moment William entered the Ainsworth household, Ella treated him like her own child. You can even say that she was William's second mother in this world. Wherever William went, the Angorian goat followed. The couple made a comfortable place for Ella and William at the corner of the room. The baby and his mama goat laid on top of thick and comfortable carpets. Ella liked to keep William close to her, and not even Anna and Mordred could take William away from her without her permission. Around midnight, William suddenly woke up from his slumber. He could feel something warm on his chest, so he decided to investigate. His small hands picked up the source of that warm feeling and looked at it closely. The black ring hanging on his necklace glowed in the darkness. What's going on? William thought as he observed the glowing ring in his hand. The ring is getting warmer. Suddenly, William was almost blinded by a brilliant flash of light that came from the ring. When the light faded, the baby William found himself in an unfamiliar place. The air smelt damp, and it made him feel uncomfortable. William crawled on all fours and scanned his surroundings. The ground was coarse and stone walls lined both sides. On the ceiling hung small stalactites, which made him realize that he was no longer inside his Uncle Mordred's and Aunt Anna's bedroom. William was a half-elf, which gave him dark vision. Even in the dark, he would be able to see things clearly. What the hell? William's body shivered as he saw 3 creatures slowly approaching him from the front. They had dark green skin and uttering guttural sounds that were hard to decipher. The 3 creatures were a meter tall and wearing only rags on their lower half. Even so, William didn't need to be a language expert to know what they were and what they were thinking. Goblins? William wanted to run away, but he was just a year-old baby that just learned how to crawl. Escape! I must escape! He tried to move his body, but he was frozen in place due to fear. Krushaka, Shakarakta, Zito? The 3 goblins rushed towards William while waving the clubs in their hands. Wah! William cried out loud. No, stay away, mama! The goblins struck down on the crying child with their clubs without a shred of mercy. This was not the first time that they had seen a human child. In their eyes, this little creature was only good as food for their young. Me! William was beside her. She licked the baby's cheeks before lowering her head to the ground. An Angorian goat charged at the 3 goblins in fury. Its red horns glistened in a reddish hue and pierced the chest of one of the goblins. It then delivered a kick to the other goblin, sending it slamming towards the wall. Unfortunately, the 3rd goblin reacted in time and evaded. It then performed a counterattack and slammed its wooden club at the Angorian goat's back. Me! Ella bleated in pain, and the goblin took that opportunity to rain down more blows on its body. The goblin that was pierced to the chest by Ella's horn was still alive, and it propped itself up while holding its chest. The other goblin, who was slammed on the wall, joined its comrade in bashing the goat in a mad frenzy. Blood spilled out of Ella's mouth as the club hit the side of her face. Wow, Mama! William cried. He could only watch helplessly as the 3 goblins bashed his mama to death with their clubs. After taking too many beatings, Ella finally dropped down on the ground. Me! The goat called out to William as if telling him to run away. Wah! Mama! William saw his mama Ella's fur stained in blood. The side of her face was also bloody, and 2 of her legs seemed to be broken. The Angorian goat struggled to get up, but the goblin kicked it out of anger. While the 2 goblins took turns in kicking the fallen goat, the 3rd goblin, who had been pierced in the chest by Ella's horn, had approached William during the commotion. It didn't take long before the crying William saw the goblin by his side. Krah! The goblin screamed and struck down. He wanted to kill the human baby so badly in order to vent out the anger it was feeling. William could only watch as the wooden club descended upon him. A cry of pain followed the strike, and the ground was stained in fresh blood as the wooden weapon hit its target with a vengeance. Time to fight back, Gua! The goblin was sent flying a few meters away from William's location. The blood on its chest gushed forth and stained the ground in a greenish hue. 2 more shrieks filled with pain followed suit. The 2 goblins who had been bashing the Angorian goat were also sent flying a few meters away from the fallen beast. All 3 goblins lost consciousness, which made the surroundings very quiet. William snapped out of his daze and hurriedly crawled towards his Mama Ella. He didn't even glance at the floating wooden staff in the air that saved his and his mama's life. Ayah! Ayah! Mama ma! William hugged Ella's bloody head and cried. Mie! Ella bleated. Blood was spilling at the side of her face and her eyes, sensing that the Angorian goat had received severe injuries and was on the verge of dying. William kept on crying while holding onto Ella's bloody head. He didn't care that his clothes were stained with blood. The goat's coat had blood all over, and he could feel that her life was slowly ebbing away. Wa mama, don't leave me, Yuwa. He felt something softly tapping his cheeks. As he turned his head, he saw the wooden staff floating by his side. Go away, Wa. William swatted the wooden staff. Due to the event that just transpired and the strong smell of blood that permeated the air, the baby William was not able to think properly. This was the first time he experienced such a brutal event in his 2 lives, and it made his brain lose reason. As his hand touched the handle of the wooden staff, a small ringing sound resounded inside his head. The sound brought with it a calming effect which allowed him to regain some clarity of mind. Although he was still somewhat deranged from fear and sorrow, he was able to read the row of words that appeared in front of him. Would you like to acquire the shepherd job class? Yes, no. The baby looked blankly at the glowing words in front of him. It took a few seconds before the words registered inside William's head. Yeah. I choose yes, congratulations. Host has acquired the shepherd job class. Host has learned skill, way of the shepherd. Host has learned skill, bestow. Host has learned skill, first aid. William's attention locked on the newly acquired skill, first aid. He didn't waste any time, and immediately read the skill's information. First aid. 5 mana points, heals 20 hit points. Only work for creatures that belong to the herd. This skill cannot be upgraded. This is it! William knew that this skill was the thing he needed. He then glanced at his mama. Elyon was surprised to see the goat status window. Name, Ella. Race, Angorian goat. Hit points, 5 over 100 mana, 20 over 20. Strength 2. Agility 3. Vitality 4. Intelligence 2. Dexterity 2. Skills, Horn Attack, Stomp. Titles, none. Available stat points, 0. Available skill points, 0. Current EXP, 0 over 100. Seeing that his Mama Ella was indeed in a near-death condition, William touched the Angorian goat's head and said the skill out loud. Time was of the essence, and he couldn't afford to take things lightly. Aya? First aid? Aya. First aid. Aya. First aid. Aya. First aid. William repeatedly cast the skill until he felt his body grew heavy. He was also feeling a slight headache due to mana depletion. The goat's blood-stained coat was restored to its silky and fluffy appearance. Her broken legs snapped back in place, and Ella's bloody face returned to normal. The goat immediately stood up and licked William's face. The wet and warm tongue that he had grown accustomed to brought joy to the baby, who had almost fallen into despair a few minutes ago. Aya, Mama, me. William hugged the goat's neck, while the latter closed her eyes in comfort. The 2 stayed like this for a full minute, before the peace was broken by the 2 goblins who had regained consciousness. Me! Ella stood in front of William. The Angorian goat pawed the ground as if preparing to attack the moment the goblins came within her strike range. William grimaced because he forgot that the battle was still far from over. He quickly looked at his status to check if any of the skills he had learned could turn the tide in their favor. Way of the Shepherd. Passive skill. Increase the stats of all creatures in the herd by 20%. This is good but not good enough, William thought as he looked at the other skill he had learned. Bestow. 10 mana points. Bestows plus 10 to all stat points. Only work for creatures that belong to the herd. This skill cannot be upgraded. Skill duration, 2 hours. William looked at his status and found out that he no longer had any mana points. After he acquired the Shepherd job class, his stats had improved greatly compared to last time. The lack of mana, though, made him feel uneasy. I have 12 available stat points, William thought. I'll put them all in intelligence and act as Mama Ella's support. Name, William von Ainsworth. Race, half-elf. Hit points, 20 over 20 mana, 260 over 280. Job class, Shepherd subclass. None strength, 0 agility. 0 plus 1 vitality. 1 plus 1 intelligence. 14 plus 1 dexterity. 0 skills. Way of the Shepherd passive. Bestow. First aid titles. None available stat points. 0 available skill points. Current DXP. 184 over 1,366. Time to fight back. William placed his hand on the Angorian goat's coat and used his skill. Me! Ella bleated and charged towards the two goblins. Aside from gaining additional strength, it also became more intelligent. It knew that in order to protect William, it must take the initiative and deal with the two goblins as soon as possible. Aya. Bestow! Ella's body glowed and grew larger. Normally, her height was only a meter tall. However, after receiving William's bestowment, she became 1.5 meters tall, and the horns on her head glowed bloody red. Although it still looked like a docile and harmless goat, its physical prowess had grown exponentially. The goblins bellowed and charged at the goat with their wooden clubs held high. They were not afraid of human livestock. Since they had already defeated it once, they could easily defeat it again. When the two sides were only a few meters apart, Ella stomped hard on the ground and increased her speed. She caught the two goblins by surprise, which led to one of them to their immediate demise. Ella's horn glowed as it pierced the goblin's chest. This time the horns penetrated the goblin's skin and tore towards the heart like a hot knife through butter. The goblin was only able to voice out a guttural death cry before it fell dead on the ground. Gained EXP points 60. After killing the first goblin, the Angorian goat pressed both of its front hooves firmly on the ground as it used its hind legs to deliver a powerful kick aimed towards the second goblin's head. A cracking sound echoed in the cave as Ella's hooves shattered the goblin's skull. The second goblin shrieked in pain before falling down. The Angorian goat then raised its hooves and stomped on the goblin's face with bloodshot eyes. Gained EXP points 60. This was the goblin who had struck her body repeatedly, and Ella was hell-bent to smash its face to a pulp. After 2 hate-filled stomps, the goblin's face caved in, almost turning into meat paste. Ella grunted before turning her attention to the last goblin that had attempted to hit William with a wooden club. Although she hated the goblin who had beaten her up until she was near death, her hate for the goblin who tried to kill William had reached the extreme. The Angorian goat trotted towards the goblin. Ella knew that it was only playing dead so that it would be left alone. Unfortunately, it had touched her reverse scale. William and Ella had no intention of keeping the bastard alive. As if sensing that death was at hand, the goblin sprang to its feet and ran away in fear. It didn't care about the blood that was gushing out of its chest. The goblin knew that staying would only lead to its death. William watched the goblin while his hand moved to the space in front of him. After killing the two goblins, the Angorian goat had increased its job level. Since Ella was registered as part of William's herd, he had the ability to distribute her stat and skill points. One of the skills that had been unlocked after Ella gained a level was an attack skill called Quick Attack. It allowed the creature to increase its speed exponentially to deliver a blow to its enemy. William didn't hesitate and chose the skill. He didn't want to let the goblin escape because it might call for reinforcements. Aya. Mama, use Quick Attack. The Angorian goat stomped on the ground and charged towards the fleeing goblin like an arrow in flight. A miserable shriek echoed inside the cave as Ella's bloody horns pierced through its back, impaling its heart. Gained EXP points 60. After making sure that the goblin was indeed dead, Ella returned to William's side and licked his cheeks. Not long after, the goblins turned into particles of light and disappeared. William was very happy that he was able to survive such a dangerous ordeal. He hugged his Mama Ella's neck as the adrenaline rush started to disappear from his system. Aya, let's go back. Mama? Me! William touched the ring that was hanging on his neck. After gaining his job class, the appraisal skill was also unlocked. Because of this, he was able to learn the ring's special functions. With a brilliant flash of light, the baby and the goat disappeared from that dark and damp cave and returned to Mordred's and Anna's bedroom. Chapter 11, Choosing a Path, Part 1. After their near-death adventure, the baby and the goat immediately fell asleep. William only woke up when Anna bathed him while he was asleep. What's wrong, little baby? Anna pinched the baby's disgruntled, chubby cheeks. Did I interrupt your sleep? Aya, yes. Oh, what a cute little boy you are, Anna cooed as she scrubbed William's body with a soap. Don't worry. You can go back to sleep after I bathe you. Anna playfully tickled the baby's armpits. To her surprise, the baby actually giggled, which made her continue her teasing. Ella woke up due to William's giggling. However, seeing that Anna was taking care of him, the goat closed her eyes to sleep. Although William had healed her injuries, she was still exhausted after that skirmish with the goblins. After William finished bathing, Anna wrapped him in a clean cloth. She then placed him beside Ella so that he could drink her milk. The baby had long gotten used to his routine and immediately helped himself to his Mama Ella's milk. Daily quest. Drink milk has been completed. Rewards. 6 EXP points. Current EXP. 365 over 1,366. Shepherd LVL1. Job EXP. 86 over 200. My experience points increased by 1 point, William thought as he looked at the experience points he gained after his daily quest. This might be the effect of Gavin's blessing. If I remember correctly, he said that after gaining a job class, I will get a 20% increase in experience points. The little baby was quite happy with the gains he received from his first encounter with the goblins. However, he was still a bit scared at the thought of fighting goblins to gain more experience points. He came from a peaceful world. Although he had read many fantasy novels, experiencing it firsthand was different from reading a story. The ring that was hanging on his necklace had the ability to bring them to a dungeon. According to his appraisal, it was the Ring of Conquest. The description of the artifact stated that it allowed the user to go to a dungeon that had been recorded inside the ring. The name of the dungeon where they encountered the goblins was known as the Goblin Crypt. It had 20 floors and was considered as a Grade D dungeon. Just as the name suggests, the dungeon's inhabitants were mainly goblins. William shuddered when he remembered the gruesome creatures that had almost sent him back into the cycle of reincarnation. Let's see my skills first. Maybe I got something useful. William decided not to worry about the goblins for the time being. I gained 1 level in my job class. William was quite happy with this development, and immediately opened the skill tree on his shepherd job class. There were 4 skills that were available. The first one was called Staff Mastery. Staff Mastery. Passive. Increases damage of any staff-related weapons by 10%. This skill is actually not bad, William mused as he looked at the 3 available job points in his status screen. Let's read the other skills first before I make the final decision. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Passive. Increases all stats of the herd by 1. This is a very good skill. William looked at the skill description with sparkling eyes. This would definitely help his Mama Ella increase her battle prowess. Magnum Burst. 5 mana points. Deals AoE damage up to 3 square meters around the caster. Damage dealt is equivalent to Strength x2. Knockback effect. Parry. Passive. Increased chances of parrying attack by 5%. Requirement. Only works for staff and pole type weapons. 1 active and 3 passive skills, William thought. Getting the Magnum Burst is ideal, because it gives me an offensive skill. As for the others, they are more of a support type skill. After careful consideration, William decided to pick Magnum Burst and Wolf in Sheep's Clothing from the list. He placed 1 skill point on the offensive skill and 2 skill points in the supportive skill. William knew that if he would challenge the dungeon again, he would be relying on his Mama Ella's help most of the time. Strengthening the support skill to help Mama Ella would ensure his safety. As for the offensive skill, it would be his last resort when things got out of hand. I need to add points to my strength when I level up. Now time to check Mama Ella's status window, race, and Gorian Goat. Hit points, 100/100. Mana 20/20. Strength 2, E3. Vitality 4. Intelligence 2. Dexterity 2. Available stat points 2. Available skill points 2. Current EXP 80/200. William noticed that his Mama Ella's current EXP was the same as his. Without pondering for long, the baby immediately placed 2 stat points on Ella's agility. He deemed that the faster his Mama Ella moved, the greater her chance for dodging the enemy's attack. He didn't want to see her dying in front of him. William would definitely do everything in his power to make sure that his Mama Ella would grow strong. After placing the stat points, he immediately checked the goat skill tree to see if there were any decent skills available. William didn't know how beasts go stronger in this world. He didn't even know if they could evolve like the ones he saw on TV when he was still back on Earth. However, when he opened Ella's skill tree, he found out that there were 2 paths that he could choose from. The first path was the strength path. If William were to choose this path, Ella would become a creature that would heavily rely on physical strength. The other was called the spirit path. This allowed creatures to form a magic core inside their body. The magic core's function was to help the creature harness the magic power in its environment. Based on William's experience, creating a hybrid would not necessarily make Ella stronger. It might even greatly weaken her in the long run. Let's go with the strength path for now, William decided. Let's just use the might over magic strategy in the early game. We can choose the spirit path when we reach the end game, Chapter 12, choosing a path Part 2. Steel Armament, Quick Attack, and Horn Assault. William mused while looking at the 3 options. Steel Armament. 5 mana points. Make the creature's horn and hooves as hard as steel. This skill cannot be upgraded. Quick Attack. 5 mana points. Charges at the enemy with incredible speed. The speed of this attack will depend on the agility stat x3. Horn Assault. 5 mana points. Deals a powerful blow to the enemy. May cause the target to flinch. Damage is based on the strength stat x2. William picked the steel armament without a second thought. The horn and hooves were his Mama Ella's main weapons. If it were strengthened, then it would definitely improve her fighting prowess. Let's put the other point on Quick Attack for now. I'll get Horn Assault later after Mama Ella increases her level. With this, I am confident that we will be able to handle a one-on-one battle with a goblin. William had seen how Ella handled the 3 injured goblins after he cast the Bestow skill on her. Although he wasn't 100% sure, he was confident that Ella wouldn't lose to a goblin if she fought it one-on-one. Even after he made all the necessary preparations, William was still uncertain if he should go back inside the dungeon. At the end of the day, he was still a 1-year-old baby with the mental age of an 18-year-old boy. For William, he could visit the dungeon when he was a bit older, and ensure that both he and Ella wouldn't be in any danger. However, the temptation of becoming stronger at such a young age was too hard to resist. I guess I'll discuss this with Mama Ella first. William sighed. If she thinks that it is too dangerous, then I'll wait till I grow a few years older before we challenge the dungeon again. As if waiting for that exact moment, finally woke up and licked William's face. Good morning, Mama. Me, Aya. Mama, there's something important that I would like to talk about. It's about the baby and the goat were having a heart-to-heart talk. Mordred had already left the house to handle the things within their estate. Anna, on the other hand, was cooking their lunch, while the maids did the other chores inside the house. Home sweet home. A booming voice sounded from outside the house. Master, you are finally back. A maid bowed as he greeted the man who swaggered into the house with a big smile on his face. The man had gray hair and above-average looks that would make any teenage girl on earth call him sugar daddy. His flawless smile made the maid blush as he nodded to her with a smile. I heard that my grandson is here, the old man said. Where is he? Master, if you are talking about young Lord Matthew, he is currently in the study with his teacher. Should I call for him? I'm not talking about Matthew. I'm talking about my other grandson. The maid nodded in understanding. Little William is currently inside Lady Anna's and Sir Mordred's bedroom. All right. Return to your duties. The man waved his hand and headed straight to the second floor where the resting quarters were located. Aya, what do you think, Mama? Me? While William was waiting for his Mama Ella's reply, an unknown man burst into the bedroom. Aha, there you are, you little critter. The man laughed as he grabbed William off the carpet and raised him high up in the air. You are definitely my grandson. That red hair and those green eyes of yours remind me of your father and mother. William smacked the unknown man on the face with his little chubby fist, but the latter only laughed. Ha ha! You are indeed a true Ainsworth, so small and yet so brave. The man nodded in appreciation. Listen to me, little brat. I am your grandpa. Grandpa, say grandpa. Aya, yeah. No, take this. A sprinkle of water splashed on the man's face. William's giggle resounded inside the bedroom, as his grandpa looked at him with a complicated expression. After a few seconds, the man roared and joined the baby in his laughter. This was the scene that Anna saw when she returned to the bedroom. Their maid had informed her that her father-in-law had returned from his trip. She was mildly surprised when the old man went to look for William first, instead of looking for her husband, Mordred. Anna covered her lips and chuckled at the funny scene in front of her. Her piss-stained father-in-law was laughing with a giggling baby in his hands. Father, you finally returned, Anna greeted after recovering her composure. Anna, I'm back, James, Mordred's and Morgan's father, replied with a smile. This brat sure is feisty. William is normally a well-behaved child. Anna grinned. This is the first time I'm seeing his mischievous side. Well, boys tend to be mischievous, James agreed. Also, Ella, stop poking me with your horns. Hey, I said stop. Ella was stomping her foot on the floor while poking James with her horns. She was very upset about how James was treating her baby. If not for the fact that the one who raised her was this man, she would have already impaled him with her horns using her full strength. Ella has been taking care of William ever since he arrived, Anna explained. I think she treats him as her own child. Father, please return William to Ella, or else she might really have a go with you. Me. Oh, you. I just left for a year and you've already forgotten how I raised you. What an ungrateful goat you are. James snorted, but a smile hung on his lips. Fine. I'll take a bath first. You look after this brat for me. James handed William to Anna and left the room while humming a tune. Clearly, he was in a good mood. Bad baby. Anna lightly pinched William's chubby cheeks. That is your grandpa. Don't pee on him, okay? Aya. I'll think about it. Although this was the first time that William had met his grandpa, James, he found the old man to his liking. Of course, James didn't look old. In fact, he only looked like a middle-aged man that was still in his prime. William was looking forward to knowing more about his family in this life, and prayed that he would be able to get along with all of them. Chapter 13, Cooked Rice. So, what do you think, William? James asked. The first thing I did after seeing you was to write a letter to my old pal, and ask him to make his granddaughter your fiancée. Aya? Fiancée? The old man grinned as he rubbed William's chubby cheeks. She's a year older than you, James explained. Although I haven't seen her, the old bastard always bragged about his cute granddaughter. Since that is the case, making her your fiancée is definitely a good thing. She's also the daughter of a duke. It's a good opportunity for our family to climb the ranks of nobility. I didn't know my grandpa was a gold digger. The baby's expression clouded over. The old man noticed the baby's disgruntled expression and decided to coax it. What's wrong with having a beautiful girl as your fiancée? What? You're not satisfied? Don't worry. When you grow up, I'll make sure that you eat the cooked rice as soon as possible. They can't break off the engagement once a little William is inside her tummy. Bastard. William wanted to slap his grandpa for even thinking of committing a crime. Although he was not reluctant to the idea of having a fiancée, arranged marriages didn't usually end well. Most of the time, it was just a tool for political gains to the nobles. James wandered around the estate carrying William. Ella walked alongside the old bastard and kept a watchful eye on the little baby. An hour later, James climbed a hill overlooking the town of Lant. "William, our family had lived here for generations," James said. "The life here is simple and crude, but it is very peaceful, far away from the despicable games of the nobility, yet not important enough for the king's watchful eyes." This was the first time that William had seen his grandpa act this seriously. For a brief moment he had forgotten that the old fool wanted him to tumble on the bed with his fiancée and give him a great-grandchild. "Our bloodline is very scant. Aside from me, my 2 sons Matthew and you, there are no more Ainsworth in this land. We are the last of a dying breed. We don't have any living relatives?" William frowned. "How come?" James sighed as he looked at the distance. William could see sadness and unwillingness in his grandpa's expression. Although he wanted to know why their bloodline only had a few family members, he knew that now was not the right time. A few hours passed, and the family had a dinner celebration to commemorate James's safe return from his trip. Matthew, the eldest son of his Uncle Mordred and Aunt Anna, sat beside James. William, on the other hand, was lying beside Ella and drinking her milk. His eyes were locked on the family dinner in front of him. He had never experienced this when he was still on Earth because he was an orphan. However, right now, he was wrapped in a sense of belonging. This was his family, and the soul inside the baby felt grateful for being given the opportunity to be born into this warm and caring family. Back then, if I had entered the silver portal, would I have been born into a family that is better than this? William thought. During his 1-year stay at the Ainsworth residence, he found out that his real mother was in the elven continent of Silvermoon. William had no recollection of what his mother looked like. All he knew was that they were forced to separate due to his mother's circumstance. "It's fine," William muttered inside his heart. "I'll look for my mother when I grow older. There's no need to rush." William had already known that his father had died. He didn't know how he died because no one in the family discussed it. Like the issue with his mother, he decided to find out more when he had reached a suitable age. After dinner, William was carried to the couple's bedroom. Ella stayed with him as usual. "Aya. Mama, do you want to return to the dungeon?" "Me, Aya. Are you not scared?" "Me, Aya. You want to become stronger." The Angorian goat licked the baby's cheeks in reply. "Aya, Aya. Okay, but we will return immediately if things get dangerous, okay?" "Me." A few hours passed and the couple was finally in deep sleep. William held the ring that was hanging on his necklace with both hands and activated it. A second later he found himself at the familiar cavern. Ella stood beside him and was on full alert. "Aya, bestow." Ella's body glowed, and she grew half a meter taller. Her stats had been raised by 10. However, that didn't end there. William's passive skills, Way of the Shepherd and Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, boosted the stats with 3 additional stat points. While William didn't know if the current Ella was strong or not, he was sure that she could handle a one-on-one battle with a goblin. Name Ella. Race, Angorian goat. Hit points, 425 over 425. Mana, 150 over 150. Strength, 2 plus 13. Agility, 6 plus 13. Vitality, 4 plus 13. Intelligence, 2 plus 13. Dexterity, 2 plus 13. Aya. Aya, Mama, remember our agreement. We will only fight up to 2 goblins at a time, okay? Me. The Angorian goat laid down on the ground. William crawled on Ella's back in order to mount her. For some reason, the moment he sat on the goat's back, he felt that he wouldn't be dismounted even if Ella ran at full speed. It was as if the 2 of them had merged into a single entity. It was a strange feeling, but he didn't dislike it. "Aya. Let's go, Mama." "Me." The baby and goat pair snuck into the depths of the goblin crypt. William's heart beat wildly inside his chest. Although he was afraid, he was also looking forward to the possibility of becoming one of those protagonists that he had read about in the novels back on Earth. Chapter 14. Cheat Codes. 15 minutes after they arrived in the dungeon, William and Ella found their first target. It was a lone goblin that was currently making a weird dance over a bonfire. For safety reasons, William dismounted Ella's back so the goat could fight without worrying about his safety. "Aya. Mama Ella, use steel armament." The goat took a fighting stance and her horns and hooves glittered for a brief moment. The steel armament skill had a duration of an hour. It was a very useful skill that ensured that Ella's primary weapons would be as hard as steel. "Aya. Use quick attack." "Me." William watched as Ella's image blurred from where she stood. The next second, the goblin that was dancing on the bonfire leaked out a shriek, as its body flew a few meters away due to the impact. Ella immediately used its hooves to stomp at the goblin's face repeatedly. William half covered his eyes at the brutal scene in front of him. He only stopped covering his eyes when he heard the ringing sound of a notification. Gained EXP points, 60. Current EXP, 424 over 1366. Job EXP Shepherd level 1, 140 over 200. Ella returned triumphantly by his side. The goat licked the baby's cheeks to assure him that she was all right. Aya! Good job, Mama. Me. After taking care of 2 more goblins, Ella gained another level. Since Ella and William's skill level is the same, both of them gained a level together. Current EXP, 544 over 1366. Shepherd LVL2. Job EXP, 60 over 461. William went to Ella's stat page and unlocked the skill Horn Assault. Since there was an extra skill point, he decided to place it on Horn Assault as well. As for the 2 stat points, he decided to place all of them in Ella's agility. His battle plan for Ella was simple. He wanted her to be as nimble as possible for both attack and retreat. Since he had the bestow skill on the wolves in sheep's clothing, he didn't need to worry about adding more points to strength for the time being. William's job level had also increased, so he had 3 available stat points in hand. To be honest, he was really thankful for getting the 1 free extra skill point due to Gavin's blessing. He didn't think twice and pooled all of his skill points to Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, giving a massive boost to Ella's stat points. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing 4/10. Passive. Increases all stats of the herd by 4. Increases all stats of the herd by 4. Strength, 2 plus 17. With each extra stat and skill point in hand, William's confidence also grew. He had seen how Ella fought against the goblin, and it took her 4 attacks to kill it. The body of the goblin turned into particles of light and disappeared from the dungeon. No drop loots? William stared at the space where the goblin died. Even the blood had also disappeared, as if it was sucked up by the floor of the dungeon. The 2 continued hunting for goblins. Half an hour passed and they still hadn't encountered any other goblins aside from the 1 goblin they had fought earlier. I wish this dungeon had a map, William thought. It's hard to explore Blindalum. William looked around, waiting expectantly for gold coins to appear in front of him. However, nothing happened. The baby curled his lip in disdain. William had the never surrender. The moment William thought of a map, a floor layout appeared in front of him. 70% of the map was still shrouded in darkness. Only the places they had explored earlier were visible. Ha! The saying, "Ask and you shall receive," is true? William exclaimed as he looked at the map in front of him. Are there other features that I can use aside from the navigation system? Can I use cheat codes? Yeah. Greed is good, 999,999. Expression on his face as he shouted the cheat codes in the games he had played back on Earth. Yeah. Debug mode. Yeah. Up, down, left, right. A, B, select, start. Yeah. Tulip, yeah. Turtle, off-road. Tulip, off-road, overwhelming. Yeah. Who's your daddy? William panted for breath as he finished shouting the cheat codes he was familiar with. A few minutes passed as an awkward silence enveloped the baby and the goat. So this game needs to be cleared first before I can play the NG Plus version? Fine. Challenge accepted, William thought as she gestured for his mama Ella to allow him to mount her back. With the map hovering in front of him, William navigated the cave with ease. He accidentally found a stairway that was headed downwards as he was clearing the undiscovered places in his map. Frankly, he was half tempted to proceed to the next floor, but William was a completionist by heart. After a brief struggle, he decided to fully map the first floor before he proceeded to the second floor of the Goblin Crypt. After an hour of walking around, they were finally able to clear 70% of the map. It was also at that moment when William saw 2 red dots in the space in front of them. Finally, William thought. Time for round 2? Mama, use quick attack. Me, yeah. Sorry, Mama, I got carried away. Ella laid down on the ground so that William could dismount. William crawled to the corner to hide. Ella immediately charged at the 2 goblins to engage them in battle. The baby was so focused on the scene in front of him that he didn't notice the red dot on the map that was slowly creeping up behind him. Chapter 15. Finding a suitable target. While William was watching the Angorian goat battle the 2 goblins, the wooden staff suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking the view of the battle. What's wrong with this staff? William thought. As if on cue, the staff tapped the map on his screen, which showed the red dot that was sneaking up behind him. William's body stiffened when he saw that the red dot was almost at his location. Out of panic, he grabbed the wooden staff with both hands. He then slowly turned his head to look behind him. Standing 4 meters away from him, a goblin holding 2 wooden clubs in its hands growled in anger. Ma! Just as the goblin was about to attack William, a white blur went past him and knocked the goblin flying in the opposite direction. Ella stood in front of William with the intent to protect him. The goblin who was knocked away slowly stood up because Ella's attack wasn't strong enough to kill it. The other 2 goblins that the goat had engaged earlier were mostly unharmed, and were also headed in their direction. Mama, let's retreat. The Angorian goat unceremoniously bit the baby's clothes and ran away. While being carried to safety, William realized that he had been overconfident with his ability. He thought that with Ella's new gained abilities and his map, he would be invincible. I got too conceited, William thought. I forgot that this was a dungeon. Monsters can spawn anywhere at any time. Based on the games he had played in the past, random encounters like this were very common if you walked into a cave or in tall grasses. If not for the staff appearing to remind him that there was danger, William might have already been squashed like a pancake. When Ella finally lowered William to the ground, the baby was still deep in thought. Sorry, Mama. I will be more careful in the future. Treat. I promise. Me. Ella nagged at William for 5 minutes before she finally relented. With this, the baby and the goat were in a dilemma. If they don't hunt for goblins, they would not be able to gain experience points. If they don't get experience points, they wouldn't be able to level up. After the incident, Ella was very reluctant to leave William's side. The baby understood his mama's worry, so he didn't say anything else. What should I do? William pondered. If only there is a place where monsters can't attack me. Wait, is there a safe zone in this dungeon? William opened the map and checked the places that they had unmasked. Unfortunately, there was nothing that looked like a safe zone in the places that they had visited. Wait, there might be another way. William's eyes widened when he remembered something. Very important. Their current progress was similar to a game. In every game novel that he had read, there existed a mighty existence that helped protagonists make their life easier. What is that mighty existence? It's none other than the system. Although William didn't know what the chess piece and the lollipop could do, he ignored them. Ding! The light receded, and the glow of the CPU core dimmed. William looked in dismay as he used. William immediately closed his eyes. He had a feeling that all he needed to do was call out for it, and it would appear. Within the darkness, something bright glittered in the distance. The baby immediately proceeded to that place, and found the thing he was looking for. Hovering above 3 altars were the gifts that were given to him by the 3 gods before he left for the cycle of reincarnation. A chess piece, a CPU core, and a lollipop. For now, and went straight to touch the CPU core. The moment his hands touched the core, a dazzling light enveloped his sight. System has been activated. Preparing soul identification. Host has been identified. Now loading. Error. Host hasn't acquired the minimum requirement to open the system. System will shut down in 3, 2, 1. The appraisal skill to check the requirement to activate Gavin's gift to him. CPU core. Activation requirement, job level 10. Job level 10? William tilted his head. I'm currently at job level 2. I need 8 more to open the system. The baby opened its eyes and sighed. He indeed had a system, but he was unable to open it for the time being. I need to activate the system no matter what. William thought long and hard before coming to a decision. Mama Ella, let's go back for now. Me. William activated the ring and returned to the living room. Although their adventure ended prematurely, William didn't think that he hadn't gained anything from his exploration. For one thing, he gained a level. Second, he was able to understand more about the item that Gavin had given him. What William didn't know was that the 3 items that were floating in his sea of consciousness were not actually simple items, but divinities. These divinities could also be called God's essence, and they contained power that could affect the laws of the world. Of course, these divinities had certain restrictions as well. When the sun rose, William waited for Mordred and Anna to leave the room before conducting his experiment. He sat on the floor and summoned the wooden staff. The staff hovered a meter away from him, as if waiting for his orders. Magnum burst. The staff tapped the floor and a blast of air pushed Ella a few meters away from William. The carpets in the chair near him were blown away as well. William immediately opened Ella's status page to see if she was hurt, but her HP bar was still full. This meant that the skill didn't hurt her. Of course, he also thought of the possibility that the skill doesn't affect his allies. I need to find a suitable target, William thought. Mama, carry me. Me? I want to go outside. Me? The goat laid down and allowed William to mount it. Just like what happened in the dungeon, William felt that he and Ella had become one. It was a surreal feeling. He even thought that. Even if he swayed his body side to side, he wouldn't fall off from her back even if he wanted to. As the two left the room, they were discovered by William's grandpa, James. Oh? James looked, where are the two of you going? Outside. Me, I don't really understand. But make sure to not stray too far from the house, okay? Okay, me. James watched in amusement as the goat and the baby left the house through the front door. That child reminds me of my childhood, James muttered. Just a year old and already out, seeking for an adventure.